Hi guys, welcome to my Study Compass. In this video, I'll be walking you through the past paper Math P2 Variant 3 October-November 2019. Let's get started. Write down the temperature, that is 7 degrees Celsius below negative 3 degrees Celsius. To get this temperature, we subtract 7 degrees Celsius from negative 3 degrees Celsius. This gives us negative 10 degrees Celsius. Calculate square root of 256 raised to the power 0.25 plus 4 times 8. When we type this into the calculator, we get 6. Here is a list of numbers. From this list, write down a cube number. 27 is a cube number. 3 cubed gives us 27. Write down a prime number. 47 is a prime number. It has only 2 factors, 1 and itself. Find the highest common factor of 84 and 105. When we express 84 and 105 as a product of their prime factors, this is what we have. The common prime factors for both numbers are 3 and 7. And so the HCF for both numbers is 3 times 7, which is equal to 21. Write in standard form 72,000. Remove the decimal point from the end to a position after the first non-zero digit, which is 7. This gives us 7.2. Since we moved the decimal point 4 units to the left, we multiply 7.2 by 10 raised to the power 4. Write in standard form 0.0018. Remove the decimal point from its current position to a position after the first non-zero digit, which is 1. This gives us 1.8. Since we moved the decimal point 3 units to the right, we multiply 1.8 by 10 raised to the power negative 3. Expand and simplify. X plus 3 times x plus 5. First, we take x in the first bracket and multiply it with the terms in the other bracket. And so x times x is x squared and x times 5 is 5x. Now we take 3 and multiply it with the terms in the other bracket. And so 3 times x is 3x and 3 times 5 is 15. 5x plus 3x is 8x. And so our final answer here is x squared plus 8x plus 15. Find the gradient of the line that is perpendicular to the line 2y equals 3 plus 5x. First, we need to get the equation of the line in the form y equals mx plus c. When we divide both sides of the equation by 2, this is what we get. The coefficient of the x term, which is 5 over 2, is the gradient of the line. The gradient of the perpendicular line and 5 over 2 must be equal to negative 1. When we multiply both sides by 2 over 5, we get m equals negative 2 over 5. When sin x degrees equals 0.36, find the acute angle x degrees. To get the acute angle x, we take sine inverse of 0.36, which is equal to 21.1 degrees rounded to 1 decimal place. Find the obtuse angle x degrees. To get the obtuse angle x, we subtract 21.1 degrees from 180 degrees, which is equal to 158.9 degrees. A cuboid measures 5 cm by 7 cm by 9.5 cm. Work out the surface area of this cuboid. This is the formula for the surface area of a cuboid. We've been given the values L, W, and H of the cuboid, and so all we need to do is plug in these values into the formula. This gives us 298 centimeters squared. 5n is the mean of the three numbers 391, n and n minus 1. Find the value of n. The mean is sigma f of x, which is the total sum of all the numbers, divided by sigma f, which is the number of the given numbers. The mean has been given as 5n. Sigma f of x is 391 plus n minus 1, and sigma f is 3. 391 minus 1 is 390, and n plus n is 2n. When we multiply both sides by 3, this is what we have. When we subtract 2n from both sides, we get 13n equals 390. And when we divide both sides by 13, we get n equals 30. Factorize 12x plus 15. The common factor is 3. When we factor 3 out, we need to multiply 3 by 4x to get 12x. And we need to multiply 3 by 5 to get 15. Factorize xy minus 2x plus 3y minus 6. For the first two terms, when we factor out x, we are left with y minus 2. And for the final two terms, when we factor out 3, we are left with y minus 2. This can be rewritten as x plus 3 times y minus 2. A is the point 21 and B is the point 94. Find the length of AB. We can easily find the length of AB using the distance or length formula. When we plug in the coordinates of A and B into the formula, this is what we have. When we type this into the calculator, we get 7.62 rounded to 3 significant figures. A straight line joins the points 3k6 and k-5. The line has a gradient of 2. Find the value of k. Here is the gradient formula. When we plug in the values given in the question into the formula, this is what we have. -5 minus 6 is -11, and k minus 3k is -2k. The negative cancels out. When we multiply both sides by 2k, this is what we have. When we divide both sides by 4, we get k equals 2.75. Find the nth term of each sequence. For this sequence, the numerator stays at a constant value of 1, and the denominator increases by a constant difference of 2. The nth term for the denominator can be determined using this formula. A1 is the first term, which is 2, and D is the common difference between the terms, which is also 2. When we simplify this, we end up with 2n. And so the nth term for this sequence is 1 over 2n. For this sequence, we notice that 5 raised to the power 0 is 1, 5 raised to the power 1 is 5, 5 raised to the power 2 is 25, and so on. Therefore, the nth term will be 5 raised to the power n minus 1. Without using a calculator, work out 2 over 3 plus 1 over 4 times 2 over 3. Write down all the steps of your working and give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. First, we multiply 1 over 4 and 2 over 3. So for the numerators, 1 times 2 is 2, and for the denominators, 4 times 3 is 12. 2 goes into itself once and goes into 12 6 times. So now we have 2 over 3 plus 1 over 6. The LCM for 3 and 6 is 6. For 2 over 3, since we multiply 3 by 2 to get 6, we also multiply 2 by 2 to get 4. For 1 over 6, since we multiply 6 by 1 to get 6, we also multiply 1 by 1 to get 1. 4 plus 1 is 5, and so our final answer is 5 over 6. 10 athletes compete in both the 100-meter race and the triple jump. Their results are shown in the scatter diagram. One of these athletes jumps 15.12 meters in the triple jump. Write down his time for the 100-meter race. When we map 15.12 meters from the horizontal axis, we get the time for the 100-meter race as 12.88 seconds. The values for two other athletes are shown in the table. On the scatter diagram, plot these points. We plot the first point by mapping 14.74 meters from the horizontal axis and 13.2 seconds from the vertical axis. We plot the second point by mapping 15.2 meters from the horizontal axis and 12.76 seconds from the vertical axis. On the scatter diagram, draw a line of best fit. No two lines of best fit may be exactly the same. However, the general rule of thumb for drawing a line of best fit is that the line must pass through as many points as possible while balancing an equal number of points above and below the line. What type of correlation is shown in the scatter diagram? From the diagram, we see that as the distance in the triple jump increases, the time for the 100-meter race decreases. This type of correlation is negative. By shading the unwanted regions on the grid, draw and label the region R that satisfies the following inequalities. For the first inequality, we need to draw the line x equals -2, which would be a broken line because there is no equal sign attached to the less than symbol. Then we also need to draw the line x equals 3. From the inequality, we see that the region between the two lines is wanted, and so we shade the region outside the lines. For the second inequality, we draw the line y equals x plus 3. Since we have a less than sign in this inequality, it means the region below the line y equals x plus 3 is wanted, and so we shade the region above the line. So now we label the region left unshaded as R. Find n of m. In other words, we are finding the number of elements in set M. The elements in set M are 2, 3, 4, and 5. These elements are 4 in total. Write down a set N where N is a subset of M and N is not a null set. If N is a subset of M, then N contains the same elements as set M, only the number of elements in set N would be fewer. So we can pick any combination of elements for set N as the answer. One of these would be 2, 3. In each Venn diagram, shade the required region. A union B complement. This means we are to shade the region outside A union B. The result should look like this. C intersection D complement union E. For this, we need to first shade C intersection D complement. Then we shade the region in set E. When we are done, we combine the shading in both regions. The result should look like this. The diagram shows the speed time graph for 70 seconds of a car journey. Calculate the deceleration of the car during the first 20 seconds. The slope of a speed time graph gives us acceleration. For the first 20 seconds, we have A equals 16 minus 10 meters per second divided by 0 minus 20 seconds, which is equal to negative 0.3 meters per second squared. A negative acceleration means deceleration, and since we've been asked for the deceleration, that will be 0.3 meters per second squared. If we were asked to give the acceleration, then we include the negative. Calculate the total distance traveled by the car during the 70 seconds. The area under a speed time graph gives us the distance traveled. In this case, we've split the area under the graph into A1 and A2. A1 is in the shape of a triangle, and so the area is half times 20 times 6 meters. A2 is in the shape of a rectangle, and this area is 70 times 10 meters. When we type this into the calculator, we get 760 meters. T is inversely proportional to the square of x plus 1. When x is 2, t is 5. Write t in terms of x. In mathematical terms, we write t is inversely proportional to the square of x plus 1. We can rewrite this as t is equal to a constant, which we are going to call k, times 1 over x plus 1 squared. From here, we need to find the value of k. We can get the value of k by substituting the values of x and t given in the question. This gives us 5 equals k divided by 2 plus 1 squared. When we make k the subject, we get 45. So now we have 45 over x plus 1 squared. When t is 1.8, find the positive value of x. When we plug in t equals 1.8 into the equation we found in part A, this is what we have. When we make x plus 1 squared the subject, this is what we get. When we make x the subject of the equation, we get square root of 25 minus 1, which is equal to 4. Work out the inverse of the matrix -3, 1, 10, -5. The inverse of the matrix would be equal to 1 over the determinant of the matrix, which we get by subtracting the product of the minor diagonal from the product of the major diagonal, times this matrix, which we get by swapping the positions of the elements in the major diagonal and negating the elements of the minor diagonal. -3 times -5 minus 10 times 1 is 5, and so our final answer here is 1 over 5 times -5, -1, -10, -3. Work out the value of x and the value of y in this matrix calculation. When two 2 by 2 matrices multiply, the resulting matrix would also be a 2 by 2 matrix. To get the number in this position, we multiply the elements in row 1 of the first matrix with the elements in column 1 of the second matrix. This gives us 6. To get the number in this position, we multiply the elements in row 2 of the first matrix with the elements in column 1 of the second matrix. This gives us 2y minus 8. To get the number in this position, we multiply the elements in row 1 of the first matrix with the elements in column 2 of the second matrix. This gives us 46. To get the number in this position, we multiply the elements in row 2 of the first matrix with the elements in column 2 of the second matrix. This gives us 9y plus 2. When we compare these two matrices, we see that x is 6. 2y minus 8 equals 6, which gives us y equals 7. A container is made from a cylinder and a cone, each of radius 5 centimeters. The height of the cylinder is 12 centimeters and the height of the cone is 4.8 centimeters. The cylinder is filled completely with water. The container is turned upside down as shown below. Calculate the depth d of the water. We've been given the formula for the volume of a cone to be 1 over 3 pi r squared h. From the diagram, we see that d equals 4.8 plus h. So now we need to find the value of h. We see that the volume of water in the cylinder shown at the top is equal to the volume of water in the cone and cylinder shown at the bottom. The volume of the water at the top is the same as the volume of the cylinder, which is pi r squared h, where r is 5 centimeters and h is 12 centimeters. The volume of the water at the bottom is the same as the volume of water in the cone plus the volume of water in the cylinder, and that is 1 over 3 pi times 5 squared times 4.8 plus pi times 5 squared times h. Pi times 5 squared times 12 is 300 pi. 1 over 3 pi times 5 squared times 4.8 is 40 pi. Pi times 5 squared times h is 25 pi h. When we subtract 40 pi from both sides of the equation, this is what we have. When we divide both sides by 25 pi, we have h equals 260 pi over 25 pi. Pi cancels out, and so 260 over 25 is equal to 10.4. Now that we have the value of h, d equals 4.8 plus 10.4 centimeters, which is equal to 15.2 centimeters. The time t minutes it takes each of 50 students to travel to school is recorded. The table shows the results. Write down the modal class. The modal class is the class with the highest frequency. The highest frequency is 19, and the class with this frequency is t is greater than 10 and less than and equal to 15 minutes. On the grid, complete the histogram to show the information in the table. To be able to draw the histogram, we need to calculate the frequency density of each of the given intervals. The frequency density is equal to the frequency divided by the interval width. For the first interval, the frequency density is the frequency, which is 7, divided by the interval width 10 minus 0, which is equal to 0.7. This interval has already been drawn on the histogram for us. Then we have 19 divided by 15 minus 10, which is equal to 3.8. Then we have 16 divided by 20 minus 15, which is equal to 3.2. Then finally, 8 divided by 40 minus 20, which is equal to 0.4. So now, after marking all the different intervals on the horizontal axis, we can map out their heights using their frequency density values. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. See you in the next video. Bye guys.